is here, my official review on Panasonic's much-loved Lumix G9 Mark II. Yeah! Hi, it's Cheng here from RED35. It's been a couple of months since the launch of Panasonic's Lumix G9 Mark II, the successor to the original and very respectful G9 for photographers. Before I continue, please note that I have been using Micro Four Thirds camera for my professional jobs since my switch from Canon and Leica full-frame cameras in 2016, and primarily use Olympus or Home System cameras. And this video is focused on G9 Mark II. And while I make some references in comparing to my workhorse OM1, this is not a comparison video. That you will have to wait. And this video is also based on the production version of the G9 II that I've been using for 2 solid months with my portrait shoots in London. And finally, this video, it is not sponsored. And I bought this camera myself, and all the remarks are of my own. Just in case you don't already know, the original G9 presented a very solid case to any Micro Four Thirds photographers, despite some lacking in autofocus. It gained Panasonic a ton of users outside of its video base. And this Mark II, after almost 6 years, can it carry the flame from the successful original and continue to attract photographers from the Micro Four Thirds world and beyond? Well, let's find out. I know the G9 II has seen by many as a great camera, and I don't disagree one bit. But as a professional who uses Micro Four Thirds camera for work, I have a few words to say in this particular video. But let's get the goods out of the way first, before anyone gets upset. Well, okay, the G9 II is very solid. Certainly feels good on all the touchable surfaces. All the switches and dials have good damping, and yeah, definitely feels what a high-end camera should feels like. Both battery and memory card doors are very tight with absolutely no rattles or squeaks. Quality, indeed. But this is where the goods end. Unlike the OM1 or the GX6, the Lumix G9 II, well, at least to my eyes, is aimed at serious amateurs and semi-professionals. Okay, I know what you're thinking, but please bear with me, because there are 2 things that I noticed that make me think that the G9 Mark II isn't a full-blown professional camera for photographers. First, the body is weather sealed, but not rated. Something that I already said in my OM1 video, that professionals have different priorities, because we operate in a totally different capacity. We don't just go out to shoot whenever we feel like it, nor we can choose when we go out to shoot. I go when I've paid to go, no matter the time or weather. So a camera has to be, well, dependable, reliable, consistently when the call comes. So a rated weather sealing is something that I certainly look for, especially from an insurance point of view. Second, the camera has no mode lock. Well, this may not impact on some photographers, but like I said, I operate in tricky weathers. And as we are now entering cold winter days, I'm shooting with my gloves on all the time. And I found that I kept turning the mode out by accident whenever I switch on or off the camera. So a lock press button would definitely fix this problem. A shame. Especially most mirrorless camera at this price level would have a mode lock. In terms of design, well, forgive me for saying this, I think Panasonic has taken a shortcut here by using its full-frame S5 camera body for the new G9 Mark II, which has a smaller sensor. Well, some may like it, but for me, the G9 Mark II deserves a dedicated body design, just like the original. And perhaps Panasonic could have shrunk the size down just a little bit, but perhaps closer to the OM1. And the omission of top LCD panel is also a step backward in my opinion. While I'm used to Olympus and Home System cameras, which none have a top LCD panel, but it would be great to see your settings instead of having to rely on the back LCD or through the viewfinder. And the button layout is very similar to any top-end Panasonic Lumix cameras, which I like. such as direct white balance, ISO, and compensation buttons. And I also like the direct drive dial and the AF mode lever just next to the thumb rest. All very intuitive for quick operations. But again, just like the bigger brother, the GX6, I don't like the rear second dial. It's too close to the edge, and I've knocked it a few times when I was changing lenses or having the camera swinging around my body during my shoots. Then the lovely joystick. Well, I already complained about it on the GX6 video. That has not improved a bit, meaning that I keep centering the AF point every single time I try to move it, more so with gloves. So the joystick is just simply too sensitive to presses, something that I found the all-in-one joystick is way better and more reliable. Just another pro thing. And if I have to nitpick, then the thumb rest on the G9 Mark II is also too shallow, and the grip just doesn't have enough contour to fit my hand comfortably for a longer time. Something that the original G9 was better. But these are my personal preferences, and I do respect that every photographer is different. So it is still better for you to try the camera in your hand to see if it fits your hand. Because it is important that you feel good about the camera first. Overall, I can't really fault the build quality of G9 II. If I have some research on its weather sealing, ergonomics, and handling for my pro jobs. The G9 II inherited GX6 25-megapixel sensor and tweaked for the new intended use for photography with its new hybrid AF module, which I'll come back to later in this video. But before we have a discussion on image quality of the sensor, I want to show you some photos that I've shot since I got the camera, so you can see what you can achieve from the new G9 Mark II.
Wow. I think you might be right. I'm thinking maybe I'm way past the point of no return. I'm running traffic lights to spend a little time looking into your eyes. Swear I've been aching, I've been waiting for you all my life. This must be what love feels like. You got me high as a satellite. All that I know is I think I like life a little better with you on my mind.
But all things considered, it is a very capable sensor. Colors are accurate and has a decent amount of dynamic range. Compared to all-in-one stacked BSI sensor, I do find that the highlight is clipping easier, and I need to lower the exposure ever so slightly in high contrast scenes, just to prefer the highlight details. Pushing shadow reveals some noise, but not much more than other MFT sensors I've used in the past. But what's different though, is that you now have more pixels, allowing post-cropping if needed. Being a non-stacked sensor, meaning that rolling shutter can be problematic for silent shutter in still mode, definitely more obvious than the all-in-one. And ISO performance is on par with other MFT sensors between ISO 200 and 1600. And I think the new BSI sensor on the all-in-one performs just a little bit better from that point onward. Not by much, but noticeable. Yet, the type of photography I do, I haven't found a case when its performance hinder my deliverables. So overall, just as the GX6, I think the G9 Mark II's 25-megapixel sensor is good. This is the biggest deal for Panasonic's Micro Four Thirds development, as the G9 II is the first Lumix MFT camera to feature Phase Detect AF, as an addition to its overdeveloped DFD Contrast Detect AF system. The result? Well, good, or even great, when it works. Well, over the past 2 months of shooting portrait with the G9 II, I found it to be a bit of a hits and missings. Well, mostly hit. In single AF, I found that my GX6 performed slightly better and quicker in some cases. But the difference becomes more apparent when you switch to CAF with people and eye detection turned on. While the system successfully recognizes human subjects, it sometimes, seems to be a bit hesitant in prioritizing face and eyes when the subject is slightly further away from the camera. Not too far, but close enough for some extreme shadow depth of field lenses to throw parts of the body out of focus. As a result, many of my portrait photos became unusable because the camera focused on the body, sometimes hands, instead of the face and eyes. And if you think that I was shooting in the dark or some tricky lighting situations, well, no, my subject was evenly lit and the surrounding was pretty plain and not confusing at all. In contrast, even the slower DFD GX6 managed a much better job in nailing the face and eyes in both single AF and CAF situations, which was a little bit of a shock to me. Another bad point is that the G9 II really struggles with strong backlit subjects. It's among, I'm not joking, among the worst from all my Micro Four Thirds cameras. My OM1 suffered similar problem, just not as bad when it first launched 2 years ago, but subsequent firmware updates improved it dramatically. To be fair, most cameras would struggle from time to time with strong backlit subjects, but the G9 II just gives up entirely without even trying. And I had to do some quick switch to manual focus just to take the shot. But lucky that Lumix manual focus implementation is great, even better to the OM1. So I managed to save the critical moments. I haven't tried shooting birds or wildlife yet, so I can't fully comment on the performance in those areas. But when it comes to my specialty, location portraits, well, the G9 II somehow disappoints a little, especially after all the hypes and raves from other early reviewers. This came as a shock to me, as I thought that the G9 II would be much better than the GX6. And yes, in most cases. But things like point-to-point speed, face and eye focus, and strong backlit situations, well, that the G9 Mark II really disappoints. Okay, I don't have many Lumix lenses now, so I'm testing the G9 II's IBIS with Olympus and OM system lenses. And what I found is that they perform equally as good as OM's current flagship, the OM1. But I must add that while IBIS shooting in stills are pretty good as you can get from current MFT flagships, I did experience some quirks when shooting videos. It's not good or bad thing, but perhaps I'm just so adjusted and accustomed to OM system IBIS behavior. In video mode, the G9 II IBIS doesn't deal with sudden panning as smooth as OM system cameras. You may have noticed that I've been testing some AI tracking gimbal recently. If I leave the IBIS on by default, the G9 II will jump occasionally, because it tries to compensate the horizontal movement first made by the gimbal itself while tracking me. And this results in a delayed action and follows by a sudden jump. And OM system cameras are a bit smoother by comparison. But as far as IBIS goes, well, you can't really fault the G9 II. Really, whether you're a long tele shooter, a run-and-gun videographer, or travel photographer who hates to carry tripods, you won't get any better than G9 Mark II's IBIS. When the G9 II specification first made public, many thought that the G9 II was a better video camera than the GX6. Well, if you're just looking at the specs, perhaps. And one driving factor was the introduction of Face Detect AF, which was more than a must for content creators who needed a camera to film themselves. However, for those who actually film high-end contents, commercial projects, and those who operate cine cameras, you know that the importance of AF is literally, well, irrelevant. So, if you take the new AF system out of the equation, you'll soon see that the GX6 is actually a better video camera than the G9 II. Its dedicated video support is unrivaled. It included CF Express support is better than the fastest SD card available, allowing you to download files much quicker, and even in stills, it cleans the buffer faster than even the fast OM1. And the built-in fan, well, for extended filming and improved reliability during hot days, all contribute to a more professional video camera for professional applications, similar to what I described earlier for photography. Having said that, while the G9 II may not be a professional level video camera, but it does have the sensor from the GX6, it does have a lot of same features from the GX6, minus a few things I just mentioned, so it can deliver professional quality videos. The amount of features is more than you can ever ask for, and definitely better than all similarly priced cameras around. And for that, it is a great camera for self-filming content creators, hybrid photographers, and a competent B-cam for any professional videographers and photographers. Overall, in terms of video quality, well, it's a Panasonic. So what can you say? It's just awesome. Panasonic Lumix G9 Mark II is a great Micro Four Thirds camera, and the only direct rival seems to be OM system flagship OM1, which is still my workhorse after 2 years. But I have been curious about Panasonic's new 25 megapixel sensor since its announcement. So I acquired both the GX6 and now the G9 Mark II. and I want to see how Panasonic flagship cameras compare to my OM1. No pun intended, and I'm not suggesting any of these cameras is better than other. There are specifics that suit one photographer or videographer for that matter than others. In the end, it depends on what you do. So, is G9 II the best hybrid micro four thirds camera? Yes, of course it is. It offers things that none of these cameras here, the OM1 or GX6 offer. Is G9 II the best photography micro four thirds camera? And that depends, but certainly not for me. At present, OM1 offers better AF for portrait use. Even it has less megapixels. For animals, well, perhaps they are about the same or equal. But I would guess that if you already own Olympus or OM system lenses, OM1 offers better compatibility, better speed, and vice versa. And is G9 II the best video micro four thirds camera? No. Well, depends. Despite it has face detect AF, it only benefits creators who film themselves. And for serious filmmakers, I personally think that Lumix GX6 is still a better choice. And in fact, if you don't need fast CAF performance, GX6 does a pretty decent job for stills too. And don't believe me? I've made a video about it here. So what do all these mean? There is no perfect camera in my book. You get a camera to do a specific job. I would rather have a specialist camera that's tuned to do a specific job, to thrive in those environments. And I'll take whatever camera that I need for that particular job, for instance. If I'm filming, I'll use the GX6. If I'm shooting still, I'll use my OM1. Or maybe the G9 II if I need to do some video for my clients at the same time. And G9 II, well, if I need to make some high-end vlog for this channel, for instance. In the end, they're all different cameras. They're all great cameras, very capable cameras. It is unfair to compare them directly. There are a lot I can talk about the G9 Mark II, but my focus is on what I do on a daily basis, namely location portraits and branded content creation. And there are other videos already made for wildlife and birding photographers, so I'm sure you'll find them useful in other YouTube channels. So I hope this video is enlightening and useful for those who shoot similar genre as me. And to those who are on the fence considering G9 Mark II, or the OM1, or even the now discounted and value for money GX6. And before I finish today's video, I want to address one last point in this particular review video here. Is G9 Mark II a professional camera? Sadly, not to me. Currently, the only professional micro four thirds cameras that I would consider pro are OM1 and GX6. And if you don't mind use, the older EM1X and EM1 Mark III are credible professional micro four thirds camera that I still rate highly. And I don't mind using them for my jobs either. So that's it. And well, leave some comment below if you are thinking about G9 Mark II or what's your thoughts about today's video and other things I mentioned in this particular review. So you know what to do now. Thumbs if you like this video and sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography, filmmaking, and of course, more micro four thirds content. And also look out for my future comparison videos on the G9 Mark II, the OM1 and GX6 based on all the areas I mentioned in today's video. Until next time, see you all soon. Bye for now. Peace. Welcome to my bonus session, and I hope you enjoy the review. Yeah, it has taken a little bit of time, but like I said previously in other videos, when I first said that I am getting the G9 Mark II, that I would like to have some time with the camera. And, you know, it's really hard for any proper reviews to be done just based on a few days using the cameras and even a month, you know, based on pre-production firmwares and also just shooting around randomly. I do what I do. So I take this camera, use it in professional environment, like all my portrait jobs and even traveling around, just to have a feel of it, and I can find out exactly perhaps what's missing in some of the early review videos that you've seen in the past. I did find some. I'm suggesting the G9 II is worse than OM1 or DX6. I'm only highlighting things that's been missing all this time. And also, more particularly, something that affects me as a portrait photographer, and which is really critical because, you know, I don't want to get a camera that I won't use. I mean, I want to get something that I will use. So this is something that I want to highlight in today's video. I hope that you got my points about certain things I mentioned. It's a great camera, don't get me wrong. It is a very, very good camera, very capable camera. And all these flagship cameras here, you know, they're all great and they all do specific jobs really brilliantly. Video, stills, and somewhere in between. But what I would say though is that despite how capable the G9 Mark II is, I kind of had that feeling of that it certainly do many things well, but it's master of none in a way. Not saying it isn't, it kind of almost there, but not quite. It's something like Panasonic may be just deliberately holding the G9 Mark II back a little bit. For instance, why there's no mode lock in the G9 II when they have one in GX6? Why they use the S5 body instead of actually having a fresh body, make it just slightly smaller than its current form, because, you know, using a smaller sensor, so potentially you can use a smaller body. And I mean, I can understand maybe some compatibility things that they want to, you know, cost saving, you know, I can use the same grip, I can use the same accessories and da-di-da-di-da. I can understand from that point of view, but, you know, I think it just maybe a little bit lazy in a way. You know, I would like to see a fresh body, you know, on the G9 II, especially everyone's raving it, you know, like everyone wanted it, and now it's here and people are just saying that, why is it so big? Why is it the same size as full frame camera? You know, this is not from me, this is from Panasonic users. They all questioning why the G9 II is the same as the S5 in terms of size and weight. Almost. And so this is some puzzles there that I just don't quite understand why Panasonic would have done this. But other than that, in terms of capability wise, yeah, it's a brand new 25 megapixel, has face detect. It certainly works in videos. The IBIS is phenomenal, apart from some quirks I mentioned earlier in the video. Yeah, it's just a great camera in general. But like I said, at present firmware, you know, this is what as of December now, beginning of December. I know firmware 2.0 is coming out soon, but I think from what I read, the firmware 2.0 isn't specifically addressed any points I made in this video. It's only enhancing Atmos support for raw video recording and such. There may be, you know, some enhancement here and there, but I'm not entirely sure because there's only an announcement about 2.0 at the moment. It's coming soon. So we just have to wait and see. But at current form, I think the AF just doesn't work as well I was hoping, you know, especially when compared to all-in-one or even the GX6 for portrait use. That's it. That's my take on the G9 Mark II. I'm definitely sure, that it was going to get better with firmware updates. And hopefully I'll do another review, hopefully after, you know, the future firmware updates that address some of the points I mentioned in this video. If it does, I will make another video and just basically say, now this is the camera I want. But at the moment, I'm going to keep it just to use it for YouTubing and things like that. It is great what it does because they face detect AF. Like I said in the video, great for content creators who film themselves, right? So this is a good one. And yeah, so this is it. You know, I'm going to keeping all these cameras here. Obviously the all-in-one is my workhorse and I'm still going to use it for other things. GX8 is like really my filming machine now. And the G9 Mark II is kind of somewhere in between, and for this channel in particular. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and yeah, you know what to do. Remember, subscribe and share these things and help out this channel about algorithm and stuff like that. If you do consider buying a G9 Mark II or something, I do have an Amazon affiliate link down there, so you could help out the channel a little bit, you know, have me having a kickback something. And so yeah, just help me produce more contents like this. Thank you very much in advance. Until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.